Friends, the words that you use in your workplace communication has a direct bearing on whether people will take you seriously and you get that respect in the organization. There are certain words which make you sound very weak, very underconfident, and not sure about yourself. But if you just change the words in that particular situation or in that sentence, people will sit up and take notice, and you will get that respect which you deserve in the organization. So, friends, in this video, I'm going to talk to you about 7 such communication changes that you can make at your workplace to get that respect which you deserve in the organization. Let's start with communication change number 1. And let's take sentence number 1. The sentence is, I think maybe we could. I repeat that. I think maybe we could. Let's say, for example, you say, I think maybe we could look at this project when we get the latest set of data. Now, what is happening out here? When you tell someone that I think maybe we could, the person listening to you will feel that this person is not sure about what he's saying. He's not confident of what he's suggesting. The two words, maybe and could, make you sound very unsure. And when you use these words, you cannot sound confident, right? And what happens is that you leave yourself open to disagreement from others, and somebody else will jump in and convey the same idea in a different set of words. And you will be left there wondering that, hey, what the hell happened? I suggested the same idea, but nobody listened to me. People disagreed. Somebody else just jumps in with the same idea and just uses a different set of words, and their idea gets suggested. Well, that's exactly what happens. So what I would suggest is that instead of using maybe we could, you could use the words my recommendation is. I repeat, my recommendation is. So the same situation could be, my recommendation is that we look at this project when we have more information. Now, when you say that instead of maybe and could, my recommendation is, that is where you sound more confident and more sure about what you're recommending. Okay, so that is statement number 1, which you should not use. I think maybe we could. Instead of that, say my recommendation is. Let's move on to communication change number 2. Sentence number 2 that you can change in your communication is, can I just say something? Let me repeat that. Can I just say something? For example, can I just say something? I think we should use a different color. Now, friends, the moment you use the word just, you are asking your boss or your colleague or whoever is listening to you that, hey, am I allowed to express my opinion? Can I please share my opinion? You're basically asking for permission from the group of people out there that, hey, am I allowed to speak? Can I say something? And the moment you do that, the moment you sound like that, people will not take you seriously. Again, as I mentioned in point number 1, people will feel that, hey, this person is not sure about what he's going to say. He is underconfident. So let's not listen to him. Let's brush him aside. People may listen to you, but somebody else may jump in and just disagree with you. Instead of that, you could use plain simple 3 words. My perspective is. So the same sentence, my perspective is, we can use a different color. See the difference? So when you use this particular sentence, you sound more confident. You sound like somebody who's sure about what he's going to recommend. So instead of using the word just or can I just say something, right? You could change it to my perspective is. So that is sentence number 2. Let's move on to communication change number 3. Sentence number 3, which you could change is, sorry to bother you. Let's say, for example, hey, I'm sorry to bother you, but I think that there is an error in this report. Now, friends, this could be a slightly tricky one. And I know that I have used this many times. But I normally tend to use it when I disturb people, maybe on a Sunday when they are not working, or when they are on vacation time with their family, because I know that they are not at their work table or enjoying their holiday time with family, and it's not good to disturb them at that point of time. Maybe in that scenario is okay. But in a professional scenario, when the person is at work and you want some time from him, sorry to bother you makes you sound very, very underconfident. Right? You are apologizing for something which you don't have to, right? You're just pointing out a fact, and maybe that fact is true, maybe that fact is false. We don't know that, right? So instead of that, instead of saying sorry to bother you, you can say, hey, do you have a moment to discuss? I think there is an error in this report. Okay. So you can say, can I have a moment to discuss? That sounds more polished, more professional, and more confident. And you're not apologizing for anything. In fact, you don't have to apologize, right? So instead of saying that, sorry to bother you, you can say, can I have a moment to discuss? So that was sentence number 3, which you could change. Let's move on to sentence number 4. Sentence number 4, which you can change at your workplace is, I hope this is not a dumb question. Let me repeat that. I hope this is not a dumb question. So, for example, you could say, I hope this is not a dumb question, but shouldn't that amount of 5 lakh rupees be 50,000 rupees? Now, friends, there are 2 problems with this kind of a sentence. Number 1, you are declaring upfront that the question which you're going to ask is a dumb question, right? Is a stupid question. You are already degrading yourself before you even express your opinion. And you should never do that. Never degrade yourself in front of others. And to be quite honest, I have been guilty of that. I'm an MBA from I'm not an MBA from the IMs or one of these top institutes, and I constantly used to keep saying, hey guys, I'm an MBA from a C category institute, so I will take time to understand. So later on I realized that, it was causing damage to me. And people were assuming that, hey, this guy will take time to understand, right? So never do that. Never degrade yourself in front of others. The second damage this particular sentence is doing is that you are seeking a certificate or an approval from others that, hey, this question which I'm going to ask, you decide whether it's a stupid question or a dumb question or a totally unintelligent question. Friends, never give that power to others to decide that what you're going to say makes sense or not, right? So instead of using this sentence, you could say, what I would like to understand is that, shouldn't that amount of 5 lakh rupees be 50,000 rupees? Now, when you say, I would like to understand, the message which you are sending across is that you are willing to learn. You are not degrading yourself, or you are not giving that power to others to decide that what you're saying makes sense or not. Okay. So instead of saying that, I hope that this is not a dumb question, change it to what I would like to understand. So that was communication change number 4. Let's move on to communication change number 5. Sentence number 5 that you could change is, I just wanted to check on. Let me repeat that. I just wanted to check on. So for example, you could say, hey, I just wanted to check on how the presentation is coming along. Now, friends, I have already mentioned to you in point number 2 that when you use the word just, you don't sound very underconfident. In fact, the issue is not very important to you. For example, you could say that, hey, she's just a person who makes the invoices, or hey, it's just a minor contract, right? And the person listening to you will get the feeling that this issue is not on his priority list. It is way down his priority list and it is not very important to him. So instead of that, you can say, when can I expect? So you could change it to, when can I expect the first draft of the presentation? Now here is where you make it sound that it is very important to you. So instead of saying, I just wanted to check on, you could say, when can I expect? Okay. So that was communication change number 5. Let's move on to communication change number 6. Communication change number 6 that you could make is, I think that. For example, I think that we should go for option B. Now, friends, there is frankly nothing wrong with saying, I think that. Many people use it. Perhaps I also use it in my daily work and when I was with the corporate world. The only thing is that when you say, I think that, it sounds a little less formal. And when something sounds less formal, it sounds less assertive, right? And when something is less assertive, obviously, you sound less confident. So what I would suggest is that you use something which sounds a little more assertive. So you can say, instead of I think that, you can say, in my opinion, or drawing from my previous experience. There are 2 options out here. You can say, in my opinion, we should go in for option number B, or drawing from my previous experience, we should go for option B, right? So communication change number 6 is a very short one. Instead of saying, I think that, which sounds a little less formal and less articulate, use the words, in my opinion, or drawing from my previous experience. So that was communication change number 6. Let's move on to the last one, which is communication change number 7. Communication change number 7 and the last one is, Does that make sense? Now, friends, let us say that you've explained a very complex concept or a very complex set of data to a group of people in a meeting or a presentation, and you are tempted to use these words. Does that make sense? Now, please answer very honestly that how many times have you done this in your corporate life? Frankly, I admit that I have done that. And the reason I have done that is that, and the reason I guess why people also do it, is that it makes you sound very casual and relate to people better. But I've learned over a period of time that this particular statement can cause a bit of a damage. Now, there are two things happening out here, right? After you've explained a concept, and when you use the word, does that make sense, right? You are sounding unsure about what you've just explained to people, right? You yourself are not sounding very confident of the entire explanation which you have given over the last 5, 7, or 10 minutes. That's number one. And number two, it sounds very condescending that you are telling people that you are not intelligent enough to understand what I understand so easily, right? So you can come across as very condescending and people may take it the other way, right? So instead of saying, does that make sense? You can say, do you have any questions? Or better still, do you want me to expand on any of these points? Right? So instead of saying, does that make sense? You can say that, do you have any questions? Does anyone have any questions? Or do you want me to expand on any part of this presentation? That would make you sound a little more articulate and you will not come across as condescending and be confident of what you have just presented. So friends, those were the 7 communication changes which I have shared with you. Now you may not adopt all of them. You may just adopt 3 or 4 of them, but do comment below is that which is the one you will start following immediately, which is the one you have been guilty of doing and you will change your communication style. I look forward to your comments. Thank you very much for sticking in the video till here, and I will be shortly back with the next one. Thank you.